price innovation and create lasting impact. And today I have my special guest. He's the CEO of New Zealand Property Buyers and helping 100 plus clients invest smarter and scale 160 plus stores all under 5 years. None other than Mr. Hadley Nightingale.
Hi Daniel, thanks for having me. Great to be back.
Welcome, Mr. Hadley, once again. Thank you so much for being part of my city podcast. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yeah, the parts you missed. So started New Zealand Property Buyers, the company. It was actually back in COVID time. So I'd been property investing myself for a fair amount of time, and then decided it was time to go out and do this by myself. And surely I thought it can't be that hard. Just go and start a business, have an idea, and get things underway. Then you become a millionaire overnight, and life's easy because everyone that owns a business and starts a business, has a lot of money. Was probably my naive take at the start. So quit the job I was at, decided to start this new venture up. COVID happened. I was going through the processes of a divorce at the same time. So I had those two things compound, plus the new business and COVID. And then I suppose the first 2 years were just really a thing of survival. And then into 2023, we decided to get a bit more serious about what we were doing and put some of the previous excuses we'd had to the side. And it's really been the last 2.5 to 3 years that we've got properly serious about this and sort of put some serious scale into it.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Hadley. Thank you. And today let's talk about being the CEO of New Zealand Property Buyers. So you path wonderfully unconventional. You started with maize farming and spent 8 years in Australia's transport and training industries. What took you to Australia, and what did those gritty hands-on industry teach you about hard work and risk that you still apply today?
Yeah, I think the maize farming at the start got me in a position where I made some really bad business decisions. I didn't get the advice that I should have, and that's obviously what put us in the position that we were in. My philosophy at the time changed to, if I can just make some more money, I can get myself ahead. So I went right from working in New Zealand to you could earn some better money in Australia. So Australia was the natural pick for me. And then my philosophy became, well, if I can just stay awake for longer, if I can drive for longer, I can just make some more money. And that was the mentality of it. The other thing with it too was that at the time, I was also under the impression of, like, people make money from business, people make money from property. There's got to be a right way to do it. I just haven't gone the right way about things. So I suppose those years in Australia gave me a chance to listen to a whole lot of audiobooks, watch a whole lot of YouTube, or at least listen to YouTube anyway. But it also taught me a whole lot about resilience, especially when you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're hundreds of kilometers from anyone that can help you if something breaks down. And it really just always falls back onto you to come up with your own solutions and get yourself moving forward. Like, for example, I remember one night I got trapped on the side of the road, and I was sort of 200 k's either way from anywhere with a wheel bearing that nearly caught on fire. And it's those, after not sleeping for a very long period of time. So it's those types of things that you can't just call a mechanic up or walk off down the street or get someone to come to see you. It's more like, how do I come up with some solutions to get myself out of this problem? And I think it really translates really well into business, is that no one's really coming to save you. You've got to come up with your own solutions. You've got to be resilient, and it does take hard work and some tenacity to get through those harder times.
Hard work indeed. You said attending Robert Kiyosaki event was the catalyst of getting into real estate. What was it about Kiyosaki message? Old wealth is built you're owing more. New wealth is built you're owing more. Or that click for you that moment?
Yeah, I think that one was, I'd listened to Rich Dad Poor Dad maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 times in terms of from the audio version. So it was just this thing of, you've got to buy assets rather than liabilities. and that rental properties are assets, your own homes are a liability. So it was that basic, I suppose, mindset shift for me that started it. And then from listening to his books, watching him on YouTube, listening to his podcast, and then this event came up. And I suppose it was just an opportunity for me to go, right, the people that are selling me something here in the room know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. They've walked the path before. So it became a thing of, and I think it's probably something that's really prevalent today, is that it's really easy to sit there and get yourself stuck in books. It's really easy to sit there and watch YouTube all day. It's really easy to sit here, especially with AI now as well, and jump on AI and ask it questions and talk to it and see, and you think you're productive, you think you're getting somewhere, but at the end of the day, you've actually got to go and do something with all the stuff. So it was the case of, where rubber meets the road, for lack of a better term, that opportunity was something where I could go, right, well, I've learned what I can learn up to this point. If I keep trying to learn some more, all I'm going to do is just like the overflowing cup scenario. You just keep tipping more and then more overflows. But you don't, that knowledge and skill doesn't actually stick until you've gone out and you've got your own money and skin in the game.
Said, Mr. Hadley, you moved back to New Zealand to get into property, but you didn't just buy, you get too creative. You turn a moldy house into a rent by room gold mine. Walk us through that deal, and what did you see that everyone else missed?
Yeah, that one there. So initially moved back to New Zealand because I sort of looked at my situation and went, right, I'm in Australia. I'm 29, single, family doesn't live anywhere near me, and so I suppose home was calling a little bit. So shot back over to New Zealand, and then the event happened, and I suppose that one particular property, which was in Palmerston North, 16 Oxford Street in Palmerston North, where we walked into that. There was mouldy walls. The tenants that were in there at the time had still left their drug paraphernalia on the windowsills. It stunk. It was mouldy. But the thing was that if you could see through the cosmetic side of things, it was a really good structurally sound house. And the location for what we were looking to do, or our strategy at the time, was to build a rent by room portfolio. So that particular house at the particular time was the perfect property that fit our strategy in the area that we were looking to invest in. So then what we did was we purchased that one. There was about 30 back then from memory. There was about $30,000 or $35,000 worth of renovations that got done to that. And then we bought it for $250, spent the 35 on it, and then we rented it out for $520 a week, $540 a week, something like that. Instead of renting it for $300 a week. Just to the normal market. So that was our sort of foray into the property side of things. And it was at that point that I started to go to open homes and see people, tell real estate agents too much, have basic issues around showing their cards and not keeping some information to themselves. So I thought, right, there's a business opportunity here to help more people be better educated around when they're purchasing property themselves.
You founded New Zealand Property Buyers in 2020. That's a
Yeah.
wild year to start a business, let alone one built face to face transactions. What gave you the confidence to launch during a pandemic?
Probably my own naivety is probably the honest answer. I wasn't. I suppose I quit my job. I didn't think COVID was going to last for very long, and I thought, right, we can just get into this and get it underway. And I'd probably watched, like I was saying before, you can watch as many YouTube videos and read as many books as you possibly can, but until you actually go out and do something, your your experience, well, you're not going to gain any experience. So theory is one part, putting things into practice is the second. And so I suppose I had a whole lot of false confidence in terms of what I'd read, what I thought I could do. And then it's again, the old adage of you overestimate what you can do in a year, but you underestimate what you can do in 10. And that was probably the biggest thing for it was, right, pandemic's happening. That's okay. Let's just go out and start this. And I probably look back now and think it was probably for us a good time to do it, because we got the really, really hard stuff out of the way at the start. I think if we had an easy run. The challenges would have come later, as opposed to sort of forcing us to get down and figure out the issues and iron them out. So as the business has grown, our deliveries got better, our results have got better, and things have got better as we've gone along, as opposed to having sort of a dream run and then everything else catching up when you're three, four, five times the size.
Well said, Mr. Hadley. Your company's mission is beautifully simple. We represent the buyer through the purchasing process. You've noted that there's a severe lack of representation in the real estate market for the buyer. Why do you think buyer's agency are still relatively rare, and what made you confident there was a gap to fill?
I think it's still relatively rare because like Kiwis are very DIY. We just do it ourselves. Our uncle or our auntie or our mum or our dad have all bought property at some stage, and because everyone lives in a property, they all deem themselves as experts to purchase it. And so, as I say, with Kiwis being very DIY, the concept of like, why would we pay you to go out and do this for us when we can go and do it ourselves? And it's a valid question. It just really comes back to, well, how good are the results that you're getting, and what's your track record on the back side of that. So the other part for New Zealand too is like the regulatory system to get yourself licensed, to get all the things that you need to have in place, isn't easy, and it takes a long period of time. And when I first started, someone said to me, look, don't go and start your own agency, buy one and then convert it to what you want. Which at the time I thought, oh no, I'll just go and start it. It won't. It's not going to cost me that much and take that long. And as you generally tend to find out, things in business when you're starting and you have no idea tend to cost more and take longer than what you think. Same with renovations.
You built remote teams spanning New Zealand and Southeast Asia. That's
Yeah.
ambitious operational structure for a 5-year-old company. What drove that decision across a talent, cost efficiency, or something else?
The start of it was cost efficiency. We obviously didn't have much income at the start, and needed to find somewhere where we could bring on new people. But I think looking back is that the way that we did it, and I was talking to my wife about this yesterday. I think the way that we structured things at the start was very much a case of we hired too far up the chain. We hired for delivery first, as opposed to hiring someone to look after calendar, emails, that type of thing. And I think, Daniel, that's really the part that a lot of people struggle with. And I mean, if it's any help to your listeners, I've got my playbook that I use for my EA that I can send to the listeners if they just want to follow me or send me a message on Instagram and just DM me Daniel, and I can send that checklist over to the, or sorry, the playbook over to them, just to give them some insight into how we've gone about our hiring process with our EAs, and then working our way up that ladder.
Mr. Hadley, what is the single biggest operational headache of running a remote team across hemisphere, and what's one the tool or system that make it possible?
Yeah, I think it was a headache until we had our systems and processes in place. That's really the key, and the biggest thing for it is that when we first got started, I wasn't great to work for. I just expected people to know what they were doing, which sounds crazy now that I look back on it. But it was a headache at the start because we didn't have the people, we didn't have the systems, we didn't have the processes in place. And as we've put that into place, it makes things a lot easier. I mean, now with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever it is that you use, and a screen recording tool, you can get you can record yourself doing it, put the video into the AI. The AI generates your SOP for you. So there's really no excuse not to have your systems and processes now. Sort of 2, 3, 4 years ago, before this was, or that the AI side of things was alive, it was definitely a case of like trying to write everything out by hand or just record some videos and get people to go back and do it, as opposed to now with the transcripts. It makes life so much easier. So as I said, there's really no excuse for it.
You focus on cash flow, not growth. In a market like New Zealand, where the capital gains have historically been the obsession, the constraint stance, why cash flow first? Why this the discipline to protect you from?
I suppose the short answer to that is you can't eat bricks. So cash flow provides you with the opportunity to put some food on the table, some extra income that comes with it. The equity side of things or the growth side of things is important because that's where you store your wealth. But you still need some income to help service what you've got, and you're always going to get to a point as you go through your property investing journey where you're going to hit a ceiling of equity or you're going to hit a ceiling with cash flow, and you need to work both through. But generally speaking, for most people that we talk to, cash flow is the issue first that we need to solve, and then equity or growth being the second part of that.
You actively seek properties where you can add value,
Yeah.
Mr. Handley, whether through renovation or creative repurposing. Walk us through that value you underwriting. How do you calculate whether the juice is worth and squeeze?
Yeah, so that's a really important part with that is to go and assess, where you what level you're buying the property at. You need to reverse engineer everything. So when we're looking at value add, what we can do to a property, we need to figure out what the comparable sales in the area for that particular property are. So, for example, if we say that we are buying a house for $400,000, and that we need to put paint, carpet into it, and say that's going to cost us 20 to do, but all the neighbouring houses around that are done up nicely are selling for 500 or 520. Then that's how we can work out whether we've got some equity uplift in there. So there'd be $80,000 of equity after costs. And so those are the calculations that you need to start running, is sitting down, having a look, working through what are my end values likely going to be from the comparable sales in the area, and then what's my return on investment going to be for that. Now, you want to sort of work off a minimum of 10%, so that if you're going to if you're going to increase your rent, then you need a minimum return of 10% on that rental increase to make it worthwhile.
Mm, beautifully articulated, Mr. Handley. So you have been interviewed extensively about regional property hotspots in New Zealand. Right now, where you're seeking opportunity in the herd is overlooking.
It changes on a weekly basis. I mean, at the moment, we're doing quite a bit of stuff in the Hawke's Bay in New Zealand. There's some good opportunities there, but that shifts as the market shifts as well. And there's some places that we haven't bought in for 2 or 3 years, but the market might change there, and then we'll go back. So it's a hard one to answer, because what's happening there today might not happen, there tomorrow, because the markets do shift.
Certainly. So you've noted that despite the removal of loan to value restriction, you don't expect a property boom. Why the caution? What's the structural factors are constraining the market even so as policy loosen?
Yeah, I think at the moment with interest rates going up, and the other thing that we've had too, so interest rates going up has been part of that. The other part that's happened too is we've just come off the top end of a boom. And so what generally tends to happen is that the majority of retail people tend to get in right at the very end. And it happened in 2008. It happened again in 2020, 2021. People get into the market at the very top end. The market pulls back 10 or 15%. And the first people's, uh, their initial reaction is that, well, property doesn't work. I bought it here. It's now worth 20% less. Property is a bad investment. It doesn't work. And so now and because New Zealand's economy is hugely backed by property, the Reserve Bank loosening some of their LVR policies hasn't sent the market back into a frenzy because consumer confidence for the product is still down. So that's the other side of it too. And you see it in the stock market when that happens as well, is that you have a big high, stock market pulls back, everyone gets scared for a bit, and then they slowly start jumping in again. And then most of the people jump in the last 10 to 15% of the market. And then they get caught. The asset that they bought's worth less than what they paid for it. And the cycle just continues. But because the cycles are sort of 8 to 10 years, it gives them enough time to forget about what they've previously done.
Well said, Mr. Hadley. You shared a client success story where you are able to get valuation significantly above the purchase price. Without naming names, walk us through that deal. What is the gap and how did you create it?
Yeah, sometimes people just don't know what they've got. Is probably the short answer to it. So we bought a property that had was deceased estate. The kids were selling it. We bought it for 1.1 million, and the valuation on it came back at 1.4. Now that's not an everyday occurrence, but it was more so just the case of the good timing, knowing what we were looking for, uh, purchasing through someone or through an agent, and probably a combination of the person that was buying it that saw the $1 million as a lot of money, and didn't really look at the true value of exactly what they had. So that's how that sort of transpired. Is that sometimes it's just a bit of that the stars align as opposed to you know good work, so to speak, I shouldn't say good work in terms of having something strategically that you've done to the property. Sometimes it's just buying really well. Other times it's about how do you do renovations to really push that value through the roof because we've bought it so well at the start. So it really varies.
You've talked about leaving the drama triangle to show up and to do work. What is
Yeah.
the drama triangle and how does it trap would be investors?
Yeah, so I think that the drama triangle side of things, it more or less keeps you trapped in a triangle. You can't really go anywhere because there's always some issue that you're facing within your life or within your business, and it's really about stepping outside of that and just going right. I'm just going to have to leave the drama, the issues, whatever else is going on to the side, because most of it's uncontrollable. And I mean, like my separation, for example, was one of those things where there's moving parts in it now. It's 7 years later. I could still sit in a position from 2023 and sit here and go, poor me, I can't do anything. I've got to wait for this to happen. Or you can go and take some self responsibility for where you are and go, right, I can't control what's going to happen over here. I just need to step outside. What can I control? I can control X, Y, and Z. Leave the drama behind and just go and focus on those other points. And once you start moving away from the issues that you've got, life generally tends to get better and better as you go.
Well said, Mr. Hadley. You also emphasize the advantage of getting unemotional, objective opinions in property
Yeah.
decisions. How do you help clients separate ego from economics when they deal they want does not actually work?
Yeah, sometimes there's definitely a thing of what people think they want and what they need are two very different things. It more so comes back to numbers on a spreadsheet and going, well, look, this is what you've told me you're looking to achieve. This is what you want, and then how do we work backwards to achieve that, as opposed to this is what you told me that you wanted. Now we've got you exactly what you wanted, but you're looking for something over here. We've just got to bring expectations back to meet, what the realities of things are, as opposed to being in a situation where, you know, I love the house, I hate the house. Well, you may well do both of those things, but the real question is, does it make economic sense, and is it pushing us closer towards where we need to be, or is it distracting us and pulling us further away? So those really come down to the two main the two main questions that come out of that.
Indeed. And to wrap up our discussion for today, Mr. Hadley, you've scaled from zero to hundreds of properties and
Yeah.
hundreds of clients in just 5 years. With a remote team across two regions, what next for Hadley Nightingale and NZRPB? Do you keep
Uh,
scaling?
yeah, we keep scaling, mate. We keep scaling. We've just beginning is the thing for us. So now that we've got our delivery locked down, we've got a really good team of people around us. It's about how do we provide more great service? How do we provide a better service for our clients to make sure that they're looked after? And as long as they're winning and hitting what they need to hit, then we'll hit all the goals that we need to at the same time.
Well said, Mr. Hadley. Well said, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your projects, or anything you want to promote on Entrepreneurship 101?
Yeah, best place to connect, Daniel, is through Instagram at Hadley Nightingale. As I said earlier, if you're looking for our playbook as to how we've scaled the EA side of our business, just DM me Daniel, and I can get that through your list there. No problem at all.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Hadley Nightingale because if you support him for support and more property buying will buy. So, Mr. Hadley, thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate it.
More to come, people. See you